I'm Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest video. Colt Pens have very kindly sent me a selection of notebooks to review. So in here there's definitely some brands that I haven't heard of, so maybe you haven't either. So I'm going to just show you each of the journals, talk to you about the different things that are included, and then do some fountain pen tests, a bit of watercolour in there as well. So hopefully you get a really good feel for the quality of the paper and whether it's a notebook that might work for you. I've got a pile of 6 notebooks here for us to look through, and in each of them I'm going to test out a pigment liner, a brush pen with black ink, then a broader nibbed brush pen, a fountain pen, and also I'm going to try out a little bit of watercolour. When I'm journaling, I like to use lots of different mediums in my journals, but I'm also quite happy to be flexible. If I really like the paper but it doesn't hold up to certain mediums, well, I'm always happy to be flexible too, but I thought it would be good to just test all these things out. So the first notebook that we're going to start with is this one by the Stamford Notebook company. I am aware of this brand. They've been around since the 1950s, and I've read that they source as many of their materials sustainably in Britain as possible. I really like the little cardboard sleeve that this comes in, and first impressions is that this is a really smart looking notebook. So this is the limited edition woven cloth octavo pocket notebook in racing green. And this one says that it's plain. And on the Colt Pens website, there's a wide variety of different sizes, covers and page rulings. I really like having little closure bands on notebooks. I always find that helpful because I tend to add lots of different things to my notebooks, sometimes tickets, photos. It's nice to know that I've got a little closure there to keep it nice and tidy. I can also see that we've got a bookmark in here. Okay, so this has got a note in there about the book, saying it's carefully hand bound in our bindery in Stamford, England. And this is saying that it's fountain pen friendly paper. So we're definitely going to test that out. So one of the things I like to do with books is look at the binding and work out whether it's going to be something which is going to lay flat easily. So I'm just going to push the pages down a little bit. Yeah, you've definitely got some lay flat there. The pages are springing up a little bit, and one of the things I do if books do that is I use just a little binder clip to help keep the pages secure. And I do find with lots of books that over time, as you get through more of the pages and you've broken in more of the spine, you do tend to then get them to be able to lay flat a little bit more easily. In fact, there are videos on YouTube all about breaking in the spines of books. So this one is just the plain paper, but say I know that they do come in a variety of different page rulings. So I'm going to go to a page at the back of the book. And this is something I do with all notebooks that I use. If I'm trying out a new brand, I always just go to the back page and start trying out different pens on it so that I don't create something and then realise I've ruined something underneath later on. I can always flick back to the pen test at the back and see which of my different pens are going to be fine to use in here. So I'll just try these out and then we'll look to see if there's any ghosting or bleed through at all. This paper is really smooth. I have to say all of my pens absolutely loved writing on this paper. There was no catching, really lovely. So now we'll have a quick look behind. And as you can see, there's certainly no bleed through, hardly any ghosting at all. It's quite hard to actually see what's underneath there. So I'm really impressed with that. I was actually after a little sketchbook. So I know they come in different rulings as well, but something to be able to take out with me. And this is a really lovely size for that. So let's have a quick measure. So we're talking just over 90 millimeters wide, nearly 95 I think. And then about 140 in its length. A really lovely size, and so I'm really impressed with that. It held up to the watercolour really nicely as well. A tiny little bit of warping. I'd expect that, but it's probably got far less than I'd have expected. And one of the great things with the books with the closures, of course, is that once you've kept them tight, that will usually iron out any little wrinkles in there. So that one really impressed with. So this next notebook here, this is by Nuna. It came just in plastic wrapping. So I took out, I think, the details, and I cut the details off of the wrapping and put them in here. Oops. So this is the Flex Cover Notebook, Shiny Starler in Cosmo Rose, and this is 108 by 150 millimeters. And this is metallic artificial leather. So you can see there it catches the light beautifully. It's very, very smooth as a cover. So this is saying that it's 120 gram premium paper off-white, 176 numbered pages. And this is one thing I have noticed in Nuna notebooks, is that the dot grid is 2.5 mil. And that's quite different to the ones I usually use, because I usually use the 5 mil dots. And it's manufactured in Germany. So if I bring my bullet journal over, I'm not sure how well we'll be able to see the dots on here, but so this is a Rhodia, and if you can see there, the dots are much smaller, and I can see how that could be really helpful for creating different layouts and also depending on the size of your writing. And Nuna's comes in lots of different beautiful covers, I have to say. I had a look on the Cult Pens website, some really stunning covers on there and in different sizes. But as far as I could work out, Nuna only comes with dotted paper. So that's something to bear in mind. So I'm just going to go through and open up a few of these pages. Oh, I can see they're numbered as well. So no pockets or bookmarks, but nice and simple. So again, that is going to lay flat. I think possibly partly because of kind of the material of the spine, that is going to make it a bit more difficult. That's one thing I was checking, is because it kind of wrinkles that there, whether it smooths back out, and it does perfectly. So again, I'm going to flip to one of the back pages here, and again just test out the same pens. So again, this paper was really nice to write on. It's got a bit more tooth to it than the Stamford did, which was entirely smooth, but it seems to have held up well on this side. So we'll turn it over and have a look. Okay, again, definitely no bleed through whatsoever and really minimal ghosting. By the time you've written on that side, you wouldn't be able to see anything underneath, and it held up to all of those pens and that watercolour really well. So another great little notebook, comes in lots of different sizes, so nice and simple, but I like the fact that the pages are all numbered, and definitely do have a look at the different covers, some amazing choices in there. So next up we've got the Flexbook. So this is the adventure notebook which is dotted. Again, we've got a closure cord here. And I know that this book comes in different covers, different sizes, and you can get dot grid and ruled lines. So I think, so yes, this is a Flex bookmarker included in the front. So this cover's got quite an interesting feel to it. I'm just going to see what it says on here. So this has got 192 pages, it's 13 by 21 centimetres, Fabriana ivory paper, 85 grams, and the cover is fine textured leatherette, and it says that it's ideal for writing and sketching with pencils, ballpoints, rollers and fountain pens and markers, and this one is made in Greece. So you've got a black spine here, and I notice there's a little leaflet tucked in as well. So this seems to be one of its main kind of selling points, is its flexibility. So this should be interesting. Okay, really is an interesting spine actually. So you can bend this back entirely on itself and it doesn't feel any pressure on it at all. Certainly no worries about the spine. And one of the major advantages of that is as soon as you put it down, it lies entirely flat, which is something I love in a notebook. So this one's got the dotted pages. There's no bookmark if that's something you do look for, but it does have a pocket in the back, which I always find handy. So again, I'm going to get on and just do a quick pen test. This paper felt nice to write on. I wouldn't say it's toothy, it's got a tiny bit of kind of texture to the page, but it handled the pens perfectly nicely on this side. Definitely no bleed through. It's got marginally, I guess, more ghosting than the other notebooks I've tried so far, but again, I think once you'd written over the top of that, you probably wouldn't see too much of that come through. But definitely one of the major features for me is having a notebook that lies that completely flat. And I do think that Flex is really clever to be able to do that with the notebook. So I'm really pleased to have had the chance to try this notebook out. I am considering changing my bullet journal, which is unheard of. I've been in the Radio Goal book for so many years, but I fancied a change. So this has come at perfect timing actually for me to have a try out of some different brands. Now this is Event for Change. This is completely a new brand to me. So this one's a dotted notebook. So they're saying sustainable stationery with style, notebook made from recycled board and 100% sustainable paper, which sounds fantastic. And I looked on Colt Pen's websites and these come in A5, A6 and pocket, and the paper types are plain, lined and dotted. So I can see this one's got a bookmark and that your purchase is then going towards helping protect the planet and supporting children's education projects worldwide. So this one is going to be the dotted paper. So I'm going to take the label off. So inside the front cover, you've got somewhere for your name and address, and I can see it says Made in Italy. So a bookmark, the pages aren't numbered. That lies flat really nicely actually again, so another big bonus for me. Nice long bookmark. And no pocket, so a nice and simple notebook, but first impressions of the quality are really good. So again, we'll just try out lots of different pens. This paper felt really nice to write on. It's nice and smooth and things seem to have behaved well on this side. Okay, it's probably definitely got the most ghosting of the papers we've tried so far. I was intrigued because when I was writing with the fountain pen, it misbehaved slightly and let out a slightly kind of wetter amount of ink. It was just on this letter. And I was interested to see how that behaved because fountain pens do that. I certainly wouldn't say it's bleed through, but you can definitely see that fountain pen there, but actually it handled quite well to the blob of ink that came out. So yeah, again, really impressed with that. Nice, simple looking with right embossed on the front, but definitely a great new notebook to have tried. So now moving on to the last two. Again, this is a new brand to me and I find it really intriguing. So this is Coffee Notes. It's printed and bound in Dorset. And I believe that these are made from recycled coffee cups. So I'm going to just take this off to have a look at the details on the back. So yeah, Taylor's collection made from repurposed textile waste and upcycled coffee cups. So the cover is 20% cotton fibres, 20% natural texture fibres and 60% virgin fibre. So that I think is really interesting. This is dotted paper. And I noticed that there are planners, dotted, lined and plain, and I believe in A4 and A5 size. So obviously this one is spiral bound, which will definitely help with the making sure the notebook lies entirely flat. So again, I think these are probably 5mm dots, which is pretty much the standard. Yes, they are. So that was the same for the Flexbook. So that's quite a standard measurement and one that I'm used to using. My initial thoughts are the paper feels quite textured, so this is going to be really interesting to see how it holds up. I found this really interesting to write on because it has got quite an interesting feel to it. And so I was just reading this part here about the paper as well being made from the upcycled coffee cups. And it's got almost that coffee cup feeling to it, but I don't know if that's just because it's planted in my mind, but it was really nice to write on. So again, we'll have a look at the back. That's held up really well. There's certainly no bleed through and I can't actually see anything through that paper at all. So that's really interesting because it almost feels like it's kind of got a coating on the top of it, which I guess from coffee cups you would have because of the kind of heat side of it. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed by that. So again, really pleased to have been able to try that one out. So the final one we're going to have a look at, and this one again is entirely new to me. I imagine I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but by Hahnemühle. And this one is bamboo. So this is 64 sheets of plain paper, 105 GSM, A5 size. And this is made from 90% bamboo fibre and 10% cotton rag, which is fascinating. I love the cover on this. And from what I could see, their notebooks come in A4 and A5, and they're all sketchbooks, so all plain paper. So yeah, this one is made in Germany. Really interested to give this a go, because I mentioned I've been looking for new sketchbooks as well, because I love doing sketch journaling. So quite nice bright white paper. Certainly seems to lay flat absolutely beautifully. So no other details in the notebook, nice and simple. That's perfect for me for a sketchbook. So again, it will yeah, just start trying everything out. I found this really nice to write on. It's got a little bit of tooth to it, but still quite smooth. We'll have a look. Definitely no bleed through. There is some ghosting there. I can definitely see what's underneath, but not enough to bother me. I think that's handled it really quite nicely. And I try out all of these different mediums, but as I mentioned, I don't ever really need all of my notebooks to necessarily be able to hold up to all of those things. But I just like to try them out in the beginning, so I get a good feel for then what I'm going to be able to successfully use in that notebook. Well, that brings me to the end of these notebooks. I really hope you found that interesting, and that maybe you found something different there that you might like to try out. I'll leave a link, of course, to all of the different product pages on Colt Pen's website in case there's anything there you just want to have a look at in a bit more detail. And yeah, I hope you're doing really well. Thank you ever so much for watching. I look forward to speaking with you really soon in my next video.